Welcome, everyone, to UCOV, Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice. And I'm Pat Wellington, the worship associate for today. We have a guest minister, Dr. Nancy Wilson, today from the Suncoast Metropolitan Community Church on Venice Avenue. Yes. About as far out on Venice Avenue as I live. Let's see, we have announcements today, but before that I'd like to tell you that at UCOV we welcome everyone regardless of your race, what you believe. We're here to search for answers and to guide each other. If you, regardless of your political affiliation, and any other churches you've been to in the past, and you're here to learn new and exciting things as we work in the world for social justice. Visitors, if you haven't already, please stop by the welcome table to fill out a visitor card so we can keep you updated on events. We have refreshments available after the service, thanks to my fellowship team. The table is all the way on the right. Please help yourself. This is the perfect chance for us to greet each other. Please take a moment to greet the people around you. Such a friendly group, it's always hard to bring you back. Our announcements this week are, today, stick around after the service to learn about Soul Collage and the new group forming today. The first meeting is this coming Friday at 1 o'clock at the Astor Linder House. The Mahjong Tuesday, March 28th in Waters Hall. Please bring a card if you have one, even if it's not current. Rusty and seasoned players are welcome. The Strategic Planning Survey is closing this coming Thursday, March 30th. If you want your voice to be heard, check your email inbox or spam file for the online survey and complete it as soon as possible. If you haven't received it, see Bill Reynolds, Bill back there, after the service, or send him an email and he'll provide the link to you. The mulch has arrived at Astor Linder, and we're asking any able-bodied to come help spread it on Thursday morning, March 30th at 9 o'clock. Please bring wheelbarrows, tarps, rakes, whatever you have. Many hands make light work. Thank you, the Green Sanctuary team. On Monday, April 30th is Meatless Monday over in Waters Hall at 5 o'clock. It's a potluck and all are welcome. Book groups read for Thursday, April 13th at 1 o'clock in Waters Hall is called The Reading List by Sarah Nisha Adams. We're going to have a beach service at Maxine Barrett Park on April 23rd. Please bring a brown bag lunch. We'll be watching Red Tide, so keep an eye out for a confirmation. What a shame that is. Please read your weekly handout for upcoming events. If you're watching at home, please check uucov.org or Breeze. We are now entering into a sacred space. Please silence all your electric items. Our service will begin with the prelude. Let me say today, before we start, preaching today, we have Reverend Dr. Nancy Wilson, the senior pastor of the Suncoast Metropolitan Community Church in Venice. She's the former moderator of MCC churches worldwide. She served on President Obama's Faith Council and has been an AIDS activist, a leader in religious efforts to fight climate change, and a founding board member of Venice Pride. She is married to Dr. Paula Schoonweather and is a devoted bird watcher. Okay. We will now have the prelude. Sorry, folks. Am I doing this right, Kathy? Come on, you. Well, we'll pretend we lit the chalice. I'll try one more time. Enough with that newfangled stuff. All right. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers, to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. And this is from the Passover Haggadah. Haggadah. Okay. I had to be coached in how to say that. The opening words will now be by Reverend Nancy.
It's an honor to be with you today. I was warmly greeted when I came in this morning, and I heard the joyful sounds of your warmly greeting each other. It's some of the happiest sounds that happen in church. I never like it when I go to a church and they make you be quiet before church begins, because I think that's just antithetical to our sense of welcome. Is there anyone who feels comfortable, who is visiting for the first time, who would raise your hand that we can say welcome to? All right, well, we're just all home folks this morning. So this morning I'm preaching from Hope and Other Superpowers and about the superpower of wonder. And just to hear these words, wonder can save the world because it is fuel for our best selves. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Venice. We're so glad you're here with us today. Oh, and our opening hymn, please rise, I guess, as you're able. And let's sing number 123, Spirit of Life.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Avery, Director of Religious Education and Sunday Morning Worship Lead, I think it's called. And I apologize, I'm having a little bit of a tropical vacation, so I feel a little flushed today. My story for you all is What the Turtle Taught Theodore by Gary Kowalski. In his autobiography, Theodore Parker relates that as a child, 4 or 5 years old, living on a farm in Roxbury, he was walking through the fields one day, absent-mindedly swinging a stick through the tall grass. This was many years ago, in the days before the Civil War. It was summertime. He stopped to watch the water bubble along the creek. Then he noticed a turtle sunning itself on a rock. He'd seen the other boys use their sticks to strike a turtle and other animals. It was a part of what children thought was fun. Just some children still like to bully and hit those are weaker than themselves. Often children, and grown-ups too, are copycats, mimicking the behavior of those who seem bigger or stronger than themselves. Young Theodore wanted to be like the other boys he'd seen, so he raised his stick into the air, taking aim and preparing to knock the turtle into the water. Then something stopped him. Something seemed wrong about the situation. He looked again at the turtle, quiet, peaceful, enjoying the summer day just as he liked to feel the warmth and light of the sun. Had the turtle ever done him any harm? Was the turtle so different than himself? Slowly, he lowered his stick and walked home, thinking about what had happened. When he arrived home, his mother was there to greet him, and he told her about the incident. She listened carefully to Theodore, and listened especially carefully when he related how some strange force inside of him stopped him from hitting the little animal. Theodore, she said, that force inside of you was the voice of your conscience. Always pay attention to it. Always follow what your conscience tells you. It's your moral compass that points you in the right direction. And if you honor your conscience, you'll never go wrong in this world. Theodore Parker grew up to be a Unitarian minister. In fact, one of the greatest leaders of our faith that our faith has ever known. He became a champion of the defenseless who needed defending. He was a hero in the fight to end slavery in our country. He prayed to Father and Mother God and fought for women's equality and right to vote. He and his wife never had children of their own, but he felt a sense of kinship with the whole family of creation, people of all sexes and races who had been made in the image of the holy. And it all started one summer day when he was just a child who saw a turtle and decided to do what's right. Thank you. Help me sing our children out today.
I want to thank all of you who give your time and energy, your love, your creativity, your commitment, and your finances to this lively community that brings so much good into the world. It's been at least 4 or 5 years since I've been here and preached, and so many of you I've never met before, so glad you're here, and I see the changes since I was here last, and the many ways in which in your media ministry and in having this ramp, and so many ways that you continue to grow and serve this community. I'm preaching about superpowers today, and I believe generosity is a superpower that blesses the giver as much, if not more, than the recipient. Your generosity to this community and its service to the wider community matters. It changes lives, history, and the very environment we live in. Thank you for building a strong UCOV here in Venice. We need you, we love you, and we're grateful for you. Now please give as giving to this amazing force of generosity and love in the world. Thank you. church is not the building, but a community. As a community of human hands and human hearts, we come together to share our laughter and our tears, and to bear witness and minister to one another as we struggle with life's sorrows and celebrate life's joys. We are entering into a time of sharing our joys and concerns at this time. You can raise a hand and someone will bring you a microphone. Please only share information that you have permission to share, and speak briefly so everyone who needs to can share. You're also welcome to come up and light a candle to remember or to bring attention to a concern.
Is it on? Oh, yes, it's on. Hi, I'm Barbara Griffin, and I am delighted today to have a longtime friend from Syracuse visiting with me today, Gracia Sears. And this isn't her first time. She and her husband, her late husband, Rick, used to winter here in Venice for many years, and she's been here before, but it's been, what, 3 years, 2 or 3 years since you've been here. So I'm glad to have her here today.
So the spirit of my life and my favorite Eagles fan has a birthday today. Huh? So it says, don't share what you don't have permission to share. So I can't tell you how old she is.
All right.
But in her honor, I'm going to say, go Eagles.
Over here.
Hi, I have a joy today. My mother turns 90 today. Unfortunately, COVID reared its ugly head and we couldn't go north. Somebody in the family got COVID, but we're wishing her a happy birthday, and I know some of you know her.
Thank you.
Well, my celebration actually was yesterday, but we were busy doing something else. March 25th, 1970. I climbed onto a freedom bird and left Vietnam.
Oh, wow. Anyone else? Any more?
I'm Marianne Kerner, and 2 weeks ago today, I lost my beloved Richard Kerner, my husband of 58 plus years. And I want to thank everybody who acknowledged that with a card or a call or a text, and I also want to thank all of those people who, like me, think I will send a card or a text and forget about it. So thank you very, very much. Tom Voigt said it beautifully today. We lost some, help me with this.
Richard gave new meaning to the phrase, one of a kind, because he was certainly way, way one of a kind.
Oh, wonderful.
I can attest to that.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
I will miss him dearly.
Yes. Is there one more right here?
Hi, I'm Kinder Muntz, and I just spent 2 wonderful weeks with my family, extended family, my sister, and then my niece and my grandnephew. And we did a whole bunch of things. In Sarasota, back and forth traveling. The 14-year-old was saying, why do we have to drive so much? But then we finally got to go to the beach after it warmed up last week. And also my sister helped me for the first time start cleaning out things that I have never cleaned out, and it's a great wonder.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there one more? All right. Do you have a silent concern or just something you just want to raise your hand and please do that. May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May the work of our hands and hearts support, aid, and comfort all those who hunger or thirst for food or water or justice or freedom. May we never look away when we are needed. May those who are grieving be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. and may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant. Amen.
Our first reading is written by John Pavlovitz. It's called Hope and Other Superpowers. One of the ways to become the kind of wonder-filled people the world needs is to embrace belief again. That doesn't have to mean that we find or recover spirituality or pursue religious practice, but it does mean intentionally regressing to that place where we find faith in something bigger again, whether it's the existence of God or the splendor of the planet or the goodness of people or whatever potent combination of faith, mojo, destiny, karma, or positivity that makes us excited to be part of what's unfolding. People gifted with wonder tend to be easy to spot. They look up when that decision seems counterintuitive. They are solution seekers, bright side finders, dream stokers, and defiant dancers. The world never has enough of such people. Wonder can save the world because it's fuel for our best selves. It can be powerful medicine for weary souls sapped of hope. It keeps the embers of our younger hearts burning as we get older and face disappointment and discouragement. Wonder is the antivenom when toxic negativity seeps in. It's what we steady ourselves on while standing on the tips of our toes in order to try to see the obscured beauty passing by. So no, you don't have to believe in God or something to be a person who sees wonder around you. Just remember how to keep your eyes open, how to stand on tiptoe, and how to keep looking for the parade. Lisa will play the interlude. Thank you, Lisa. For our second reading, Unitarianism draws from many sources, including our 7 principles that we have. One of the sources here is from the Bible, from New Testament, Psalm 8. Old Testament. Let's see, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. Okay. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and infants, you have established strength because of your foes, because of your foes, to still the enemy and the avenger. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is man that you were mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him? Yet you have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings and crowned him with glory and honor. You've given him dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, and also the beasts of the field, the birds of the heavens and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the seas. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. And our centering hymn today is number 305, De Caloris, in your blue book, but it's going to be up on the screens. And if I'd known we were going to sing this, I would have worn my colors. Okay.
Your Spanish sounded great. All right. So again, I bring you greetings from Suncoast Metropolitan Community Church. You may not be familiar with MCC, or you may. We were founded in 1968, nearly 55 years ago, as a church that intentionally welcomed LGBTQ people, our allies, families, and friends. And just think of that, 1968. And we have churches and congregations all over the world. Like the Unitarian Universalists, many people who come to our church didn't grow up in MCC, of course. Like many of you, come from many different backgrounds. And even though we're a Christian church, we're very non-dogmatic. We really coalesce around our values, around spiritual values. We were founded by a young Pentecostal minister, Reverend Troy Perry, who this year will be 83 years old. And of course, he experienced what fundamentalism did to him, and especially coming out as a young gay man. And he said when he started MCC, I never want to be part of a church again where you can't ask questions, where you can't question the leadership, where you cannot have your own ideas and opinions. And so I think we share that as a value with the Unitarian Universalists. And last year I celebrated 50 years in ministry in metropolitan community churches. And as a young person, as a young gay person in the early 1970s, MCC was a powerful, inspiring breath of fresh air for me that gave me hope that I could live my life in wholeness and inclusion and be all of myself. And I continue to give thanks for that. You know, over the decades, we have been thankful for the partnership of Unitarian Universalist Association and for churches. For many MCC churches, especially in the U.S., the first places that ever welcomed our churches, offered us hospitality and places to meet, were UUA congregations. Early in our history, our denomination awarded the very first Human Rights Award to the Unitarian Universalist Association in the 1980s because of your valuing of justice and inclusion and for standing by us in very challenging times. Unitarian clergy have been my best colleagues and friends and allies for decades. Your courage, your ethic, and commitment to creating safe space for diversity of beliefs while sharing common values is something we value tremendously. We've also worked with you in the ways in which you've supported Family Promise over the years. I've slept overnight in the house next door and been part of that commitment. We've brought meals and to be able to support families, and we just admire your activism. I was so proud to see so many from UCOV at the Sarasota School Board meeting last Tuesday night. I think you had more people than any other congregation there, and thank you for speaking up and for being the community you are. And we are glad to continue to partner with you in the things that really need doing in our church, in our community. I've been reading John Pavlovitz lately. We heard his reading today. He's a former evangelical, even fundamentalist pastor, but now a writer and critic of the kind of religion he grew up in and served. One of his recent books, I just love this title. I wish I'd written a book with this title. It's called, If God is Love, Don't Be a Jerk. And by that he means, how can those who say they believe in God, a God of love especially, be so hateful in our world? He also wrote a book I'm enjoying now, Hope and Other Superpowers. He examines the idea, the secular idea of superheroes and the spiritual values that are embedded and lifted up in pop culture like Marvel Comics and superhero culture. He asked the question, what kind of people does the world need now? And what kind of superpowers do they need to heal the world? He names courage and sacrifice, humility, gratitude, perseverance, humor, creativity, and wonder. This week I was talking to two older gay men in my congregation who have just moved into a continuing care facility, and they were wondering how they'd be received and how they could find their place. And pretty soon they got on the hospitality committee for a party that was being thrown, and of course they went to the Flower Mart and bought snapdragons and bought found all these wonderful things. They went into the kitchen, interfered with the kitchen staff, and told them what kind of hors d'oeuvres to prepare and do. And you know, these guys did not go to school to learn this. As Lady Gaga says, they were born that way. They had those gifts from childhood. Maybe it's a queer superpower. I don't know what it is. But they have it, and because of that, they've been very welcomed into their community as the very best party throwers they've ever had. You know, many of us feel overwhelmed with the world's problems. We have outrageous politics, don't we? Attacks on minorities that are increasing. Divisions are at dangerous levels. There's climate change, hurricanes and tornadoes recently in Mississippi, just Friday night, yesterday. Refugee crises, war in Ukraine, racism, anti-Semitism, pandemics, dangerous hurricanes, tornadoes in California, for goodness sake. Kids and young people vulnerable to mental health issues. We feel pushed and pulled to care and to do something. But sometimes all we want to do is withdraw. John Pavlovitz suggests that embracing wonder can be a superpower that sustains and enlivens us as we struggle to be authentic and whole and healthy in these challenging times. Wonder is the sense of being awed and lifted up and connected to what is beyond us through art and music and nature and relationships. I was a pastor in Metropolitan Community Church in Los Angeles in the late 80s and 90s during the 15 worst years of AIDS in our community. I did hundreds of funerals and lost hundreds of colleagues and friends. A Holocaust was happening in our community, and often it seemed like the rest of the world didn't care very much or notice. We were all impacted. Our church was impacted, and we were just trying to keep up caring for those who were impacted, their families, and those who were dying. At some point late in this process, I finally had an opportunity to take a short sabbatical. I was depleted and discouraged, but in that time, a space opened up for me. I'd always loved nature and outdoors, the ocean, but also fascinated by birds. And unexpectedly, serendipitously, I met someone who offered to mentor me into becoming a bird watcher. And I remember the exact spot and the bird, it was called a spotted towhee, that I identified on my own. How it was to get a fix, I'm using binoculars here, on a bird that in seconds, because of the shape and size and color and behavior of a bird, you can get a fix on it. You can know what it is. Bird watching drove me outdoors every day in all kinds of weather, to beaches and hills and trails. I became hungry to be connected to this kind of wonder and beauty. And the best thing of all was that while I was watching birds, nothing else could occupy that space in my mind and heart. I had to give myself over to it 100% to the wonder of it. Seeing a certain kind of bird could move me to tears. I disconnected from the grief and the exhaustion. Energy and joy flowed through me again. When I came back, people in my church and my life said I looked 10 years younger, which was just shocking to me. I couldn't believe that I had looked 10 years older than I was. But apparently I did, so. But focusing on life and beauty, on what I had never taken the time to appreciate or see before, healed me, and it does to this day. I was just reading about Flacco, the owl that escaped from a zoo in New York City, one of the most gorgeous owls in the world, who never lived in the wild, and who now lives successfully in Central Park for several years, and he is now a celebrity in New York City. You can see people every single day with scopes and binoculars looking for Flacco the owl. There is something in the human spirit where we're just seduced by this kind of wonder and beauty, and it renews us. Embracing wonder humbles us. It makes us remember that we are not the center of the universe. Psalm 8 lets us know that people thousands of years ago were asking the questions, who are we human beings? And in their theological language, why is God mindful of us? The author of this psalm was moved to ask this question while gazing at stars and the sky, at the vastness and the beauty. It opened the psalmist's heart. It's no accident, and it's the reason that the Psalms often seem so contemporary. They don't seem like they were written thousands of years ago. New York Times columnist Tom Friedman wrote this week about an experience of wonder, though he didn't call it that. He called it a remarkable, unsettling experience of something beyond his imagination. He was given a demonstration by a Microsoft executive of GPT-4, the most advanced version of the artificial intelligence chat box, ChatGPT. Friedman said he learned that this invention is going to change everything about how we do everything. He said, the Microsoft guy said it was the humankind's greatest invention to date, qualitatively different and transformational, and hopefully for good, with that caveat. Tom Friedman said that what he experienced was large language modules that create new capacities, creativity, discoveries, and insight that will change radically how we improve health and medicine and make it accessible to more people, how we solve climate change, and on and on. That this new technology will be available to more human beings than ever before and speed up change. He showed this thing where they asked the artificial intelligence to write a poem starting with A and then B and C all the way through the alphabet about a particular topic. It did that in something like 10 seconds or less. And you would, when you read it, you would thought a human being had to write that. And then translated into 20 language, which it did almost simultaneously, instantly. And that was not even the beginning of it. Friedman quoted science fiction writer Arthur Clarke, who said, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, from wonder." Tom Friedman goes on to describe what he saw, that it was full of magic and wonder. It blew his mind, and he said caused him at least one night's sleep. Wonder can do that when it awakens us. Wonder at human capacity for creativity, problem solving, and change humbles us, can scare us, make us lose sleep. I thought that things had already speeded up so much that I will never catch up. But Friedman is telling us to be prepared, to be dazzled, awed, and overwhelmed by what is coming, and very soon. Tom's sense of wonder was balanced by a caution, the need to create complex adaptive coalitions to ethically manage this leap in human life that will impact our planet and beyond. Hearing about being on the brink of such change does give me hope that the small-minded regressive movements that are stalking us right now in our state, in our county, will be overrun by what is coming next, and that the hateful movements that plague us now will not be able to withstand the forces of light, of hopeful and progressive change. I hope you hope that with me. Wonder does not only humble us, it fuels us. I always find that when I return from bird watching, or from gazing at the stars, or from experiencing an amazing performance or time with old friends, I'm energized. I feel like I could take on the world, maybe even the Sarasota School Board, who knows? Finally, John Pavlovitz says that wonder is antivenom when toxic negativity surrounds us. Oh, I wish I'd written that line. Wonder is antivenom when toxic negativity surrounds us, and toxic negativity is everywhere. We see it on display in attacks on transgender children, on women's reproductive health, A sense of wonder can help us as we appreciate the vaccines that help us resist COVID, as we appreciate the coalitions that stand up to the bullies that are often trying to destroy our institutions, turning back the clock on diversity and inclusion. The wonder for me is that the world is filled with people who are working for justice. There are more people today in the world working for justice, for peace, to end poverty and hunger, to build decent housing, health care for all, to end war, to save the climate than ever in the history of the world. More human beings than ever are devoting themselves to improving life for all. This is a source of wonder and amazement. One of my heroes of the superpower wonder is a visionary leader in Sarasota, Dr. April Glasgow. You may know her of Second Chance in Sarasota. She celebrated 33 years doing this Friday night. She's a whirlwind of hope, and she sees hope when it feels like there is no hope at all. She helps poor women and families on the edge. She feeds kids and families. She trains. She lifts up. She provides love, joy, and a sense of empowerment. She preached at our church about 2 months ago and just blew us away in every way. She told stories of making differences in lives challenged by addiction and poverty. One of our members went home so full of what he heard that he approached a neighbor who was walking her dog, and when he told her about the preacher at church today, he mentioned her name, Dr. April, and his neighbor, who he hardly knew, said, "Dr. April saved my son from drug addiction. Because of her, he is alive and well today and thriving." Peter came back to the church the next day, just overwhelmed with the wonder of this chance encounter with someone who gave confirmation to the power of hope and wonder. Chances are you know what fills you with wonder. You have your own story of how something or someone has lifted you up beyond yourself. So I say to us, let's make a commitment this week. Let's make time for wonder, or when it happens, to stop and appreciate it. Let it fill our spirits and hearts so that you and I can be the kinds of people the world needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Nancy. I'm now going to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our heart until we're together again. And now we'll sing the closing hymn, number 29, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee.
Embrace wonder as your superpower in the week to come. Go in peace, joy, and love to serve others. Amen.